everybody. We're almost to the weekend. We're 18 days into the 6th month of the year 2026, and it appears we have a little bit of active weather coming our way in this next weather.
Yeah, it's been a pretty quiet month. Actually, one of the driest and warmest Junes on record. And so, you know, today is one of the few chances we've had at a little bit of severe weather. We could use the rain. Obviously, we don't want anything severe. But again, we have a slight possibility today. That's why we want to just let you know, make you aware of what's going on this afternoon. So let's get right to it. We have issued our next weather alert for just the risk of a few thunderstorms this afternoon. Any one of those could have some straight line wind damage. There's certainly some downpours. And this is one of those days where we can't entirely rule out a tornado risk. But again, it's still small. It's
been sort of an active pattern over the past few days or so. It just hasn't been here in New England. I mean, we've had a great start to the week here with temperatures feeling great, sky conditions looking great as well. But a lot of the energy today, friends, is going to be arriving out of the west here. We've been watching this strong area of low pressure race through the Midwest the past couple days. It brought severe weather there. So it'll only be likely that it would start to try to bring some severe weather here. Now, this is something we haven't seen in quite a while. This is also indicating that we are solidly into the spring season, and we only have about 3 more days until summer officially begins. But we're still dealing with late spring storms, and that means tornadic activity is happening. You can see the yellow polygon. That's indicating a tornado watch, not a warning, but a watch, which means the ingredients may be there to possibly spawn a tornado, or at least a funnel cloud.
Yeah, and for now, it's relegated to the Berkshires, Vermont, and much of New York State. So anywhere in central and eastern Mass, there is not any sort of watch or warning at this point. Certainly not impossible that later on this could get expanded eastward, but the parameters are much better for severe weather out where this tornado watch exists. And this is up until 3 p.m. So really it's the next 3 or 4 hours. And there already are some storms popping in New York State, which we'll show you in a second. But the SPC has highlighted basically almost all of New England in a marginal risk today. I thought this seems a little aggressive to me. I feel like certainly areas south of Boston, I can't imagine much chance of rain, never mind severe weather. But nonetheless, it is noteworthy that the SPC is highlighting our area for, it's sort of a risk 2 of 5. It's a level 2 out of 5 for severe weather today.
When it starts to get up to that 3, it starts to get a little hairy. This is also a graphic that Terry added into our show here for you guys here. It's indicating the potential for damaging winds. That's sort of a major factor that we are often kind of dodging and hoping and praying doesn't happen in New England. But of course, any sort of high winds at this point in the season could also cause some straight line wind damage, which is in the forecast for today, roughly a 30 to 40 plus mile per hour threat.
Yeah, and those would be straight line winds. And then the SPC has also highlighted parts of New England with a tornado threat. And anywhere in the green is a 2% risk. The brown is a 5% risk. And you may wonder, what does that mean exactly? So a 2% risk means that at any given point in that green area, there's a 2% chance of a tornado within 25 miles. That's kind of confusing. But so if you are in the green, say you live in Worcester County, Middlesex County, so at your house, technically, there's a 2% chance of a tornado within 25 miles of you. I think that's a little bullish, especially the closer you get to Boston. Much better chance, way north and west, again, up where that tornado watch is in Western Mass, Vermont, southwestern New Hampshire, places like that. Even there, though, this is not, we're not looking at like a major tornado outbreak by any means. Yeah. Just sort of giving you the hint that it's one of those days where there's a decent amount of wind shear in the environment, and there's a chance that something could spin up. So
yeah, and when you're starting to talk about activity like that, damaging winds, perhaps even tornadic threat, you start to really look at the ingredients that I mentioned earlier when you're talking about even watches and warnings. Heat, humidity, and instability. 3 major tenets of spawning tornadic or severe type weather. We will not have the heat today, to believe it or not. We will have humidity moving in with the south winds, and there could actually be an elevated risk for, or at least a potential for, some instability, courtesy of these 2 different air masses. So we're going to be heating up later today to around 80 degrees. We're going to be becoming a bit more unstable with humidity moving back in. But I mentioned earlier this morning, Terry, that, we've been enjoying a lot of the sunshine the past few days. Sunshine today is not necessarily a good thing when you have this happening.
Exactly right. So I think you're rooting for clouds if you don't want any severe weather. And right now, we are pretty socked in across most of southern New England. You need some sunshine. You need breaks in the clouds to get that convection going, to get the surface heating and the lifting in the atmosphere. And so right now, basically, almost all of southern New England is in the clouds. Now, could we get a few breaks this afternoon? Possibly. You can see a few out in parts out near Albany. If that happens, that just elevates our risk of that severe weather coming here. But for now, the severe weather is out in western New York State, and there's a whole lot of clouds between here and there. So that's kind of one of the main reasons why we feel like the chances today are relatively low. But local radar shows you right now just a few spritzes. That game at Fenway Park is at 1:30 today.
1:35, yeah.
So it looks okay there, for at least for the first few hours. We'll see later in the afternoon if those storms that we said are currently out in western New York State, if they can sort of make it here, survive the trip, and what they look like. But that would be towards the end of the game, I think, if they were to do anything. So
yeah. And then here's a closer look at our hour-by-hour forecast. Again, we have the game happening later today at Fenway. Of course, keeping an eye in there to the sky for any sort of pop-up thunderstorms. But as we start to see the rest of the afternoon unfold, you'll start to see some more activity popping up as well. It begins over in the Berkshires with that westerly movement there. And then as we start to see more of these storms pop, we also have to consider that the sun is also going down. So we're losing that daytime heating necessary for stronger storms to move on in. So by and large, we just want to make sure that you are sort of kind of keeping an attention to the matter with the storms moving on in. But I think once we get past about 6, 7 p.m., the issue of severe weather really starts to fall off.
Yeah, I think the main thing is, like you said, tonight, if this is one of those days where you have a Little League game or a soccer game this evening, it's kind of one of those days where you just want to like stay tuned.
Yeah.
Just check it out. Have your the radar handy on your phone, or maybe check out in with Jay at noon or Eric at 5 and 6, just to make sure the radar's clear and everything's good, because it's, again, not widespread situation, not a major severe weather event. However, there could be a few pop-up thunderstorms that it could get briefly nasty if it does happen. And really, the parameters are all low. It doesn't, mostly because the chances of any significant weather is low. It's not going to be a widespread event. So there is a risk of some localized flooding, some wind damage, that low risk of a tornado if and when a storm does form. But because they're going to be so few and far between, the overall for the region, the risk is kind of low for anything major going on today. But
and for things that, we've been forecasting to happen, we've been taking a closer look over the past couple of days. If the risk were to elevate significantly right now, it's likely that we start out with probably a severe thunderstorm risk, or that tornado watch would expand into the Commonwealth. Yep. So you have some things to look forward to if things start to go downhill and you need to change those plans rapidly.
Yep.
But hopefully that doesn't happen. Of course, we'll keep you updated here. But overall, the 7-day forecast isn't terrible. We have some more rain chances we need to make up for here with this prevalent drought we've been dealing with. Once we get past the weekend into early next week, some of that activity is going to be coming up from what's happening already in the Gulf of Mexico. They've been dealing with some flooding risks there. But for overall, the temperatures look and feel pretty good.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at, when can I get a drink for my lawn? Monday is probably your best chance. Now it's still several days away, we'll see, but there is a chance of some pretty good soaking rains on Monday, which would be the first full day of summer. Summer arrives on Sunday, summer solstice. So here we are, we've made it. And again, this weekend looking pretty good overall, other than a spot shower here.
I think so. And all right, moms, you can also give Dad a job on Monday to mow the lawn once the rain is done.
So Father's Day's on Sunday, and he gets the job right away on Monday. Now get out there.
Right away. Happy Father's Day. Happy early Father's Day to all the fathers out there. I'll be starting at noon today to update you on the weather forecast. Terry will be joining us again at 3, and then, of course, the Chief will be in later on today.
Have a good one.